good people? We are back. This is the Chuck and Ruck Show, biggest podcast going right now. I am one of your hosts, Chuck. I got my man, the Ruck, with me. How you doing, boy?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. We in this boy. We gearing up for the season. We are going to continue our um preseason rankings and division predictions. And today we are starting with our division, the AFC North.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's definitely going to be intriguing now. Definitely intriguing.
all right, my man. So you let me know who you want to start with.
Well, considering what's going on, but let's start off. Let's start like Drake used to say, started from the bottom. Now we here. So let's get it going with Baltimore. Um, as we all know, Baltimore came from the gate. They finished the season, I recall, at 8-9. But there's a good reason for Baltimore having 8-9. As we know, they began the year having all kinds of major injuries off their foot. They two starting running backs start off the year injury with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards off the injury report. Man, that's a lot for any team to basically deal with, considering the fact that they are a high running team to begin with, and you have that to go off the bat. Yeah, that's a lot. And but if there was any saving grace with them, um, Lamar Jackson definitely showed a little bit better signs of being a more better productive passer. Even though he really didn't show it particularly numbers wise, you could definitely tell if you watched him play, he began to show more at getting better with his reads and his throws. Um, but going into this year, however, he did lose a big piece of his offense and Marquise Hollywood Brown, who got traded to Arizona. Now he does still have one of his better his best security blanket in Mark Andrews. However, having said that, he still doesn't have what we would like to call a consistent wideout weapon. I mean, they have to depend a lot on Rashad Bateman for to have the Bengals take a bigger role for the offense to take thrive. But maybe they don't have to, considering the fact their defense could very well be one of the very best in the league. Um, Odafe Owe is still an athletic freak as they come, and him being a specialist at the pass rush, they expect bigger things with him. But the biggest strength could very well be in their secondary. I mean, sign going ahead of the offseason and signing Marcus Williams to add to an already ridiculous secondary it's just broken in my opinion. So imagine this: you having Marlon Humphrey, you having Marcus Williams, you having Marcus Peters, and you drafted Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame, who I personally stated was an unfair draft pick for them, and my personal favorite prospect coming into the NFL draft. So, Chuck, do you think Baltimore could have a chance to maybe get back into the hunt from stealing the division this year?
Not only do I think they can get back, um, I don't want to jump ahead, but I can see Baltimore winning the division this year. It mostly the biggest question mark is Lamar Jackson health. If he can stay healthy, I think he can do some electrifying things on that field. And you don't need a great wide receiver. The loss of Hollywood Brown, it might be felt somewhat, but he was never that guy that, was going every single game you can depend on for 95 receiving yards, 11 catches. Like he was a hit and miss guy, and I think Lamar Jackson can definitely, um, if he can stay healthy, I think he can definitely have him in the hunt for the division crown. You mentioned Kyle Hamilton, but another pick, David Ajabo, that was a that that was a good pickup. I wanted the Browns to get him. I know he was he's a bit of a risk because he has some injuries, but the guy is talented, man. They are definitely improved overall. And like I said, if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy, look out, man. Because I can see right now I got them winning around 12 games this year. I got them winning the division.
I don't have the win the division because I think the way this thing is going to potentially play out, it's going to be a dogfight. I think maybe 9 to 10, possibly 11, with the way things played out today. We'll get into that later, but I think 9 to 11. 11 11 could possibly be, but a couple of things have to determine. Number one, you mentioned it, Lamar Jackson has to stay healthy, and he has to grow more as a passer. We can't. We know he's athletic, and we know he can just make any type of play from anywhere because he's Houdini. He's that talented, but Lamar Jackson has to take that next step as a pocket passer. He has to be able to make any and every throw necessary for that team to advance on to even further. If they can do that, they have everything necessary to win that division. Everything. Because their defense is going to keep them in every game. They're that talented. But I think the only thing that could hold them back is their offense. But Lamar Jackson has proven time and time again that there is nothing that can stop him. And if push came to shove, if you really need him, you really need to call his number, he will deliver for you. So just we have to keep that team is definitely a team to definitely keep your eye on. I think they're going to be in the hunt for a wild card position, but do I think they could win that division, the AFC North? I'm not so sure. But that leads us to the next team that could the team that may be a year off from winning it, but has everything necessary to win it, and that is Pittsburgh. So as we all know about Pittsburgh, it's the end of a quote unquote legend and Ben Roethlisberger, who finally decided to call it a career after a long and fruitful one. Ben decided to finally retire. So now it's officially time to pass the reins to young Kenny Pickett, who was drafted in the first round by Pittsburgh. But the good news with him is if there was any quarterback that got put into a glorious situation, it is him because we all know Pittsburgh's situation. Like their offensive line, it finally looks like it finally got improved. They have a hell of a running back in Najee Harris. Their wide receiver core is extremely good. By the way, they did resign Deontay Johnson to a 2-year contract extension. They also have Chase Claypool, who may be, well, let's just be honest, an immature douchebag, but he is still incredibly talented, though. Nonetheless, the dude is amazingly talented, and also. It's kind of funny that our division is just loaded for tight ends because Pittsburgh has a talented tight end in their own right, and Pat Firemouth. Oh, and did I mention that Pittsburgh's defense is extremely well talented as well?
Yeah.
Um, um, you got only the reigning defensive player of the year in TJ Watt, who tied the single season record for sacks at 22 and a half. Minka Fitzpatrick, still one of the better safeties in the league. And they picked up a very underrated signing in Levi Wallace at cornerback. So Pittsburgh definitely had themselves a interesting and busy offseason. The only issue with them is the same thing, but how long will it take for Kenny Pickett to be ready to officially take the mantle as starting QB? And when he does, will he take that team to that next level? Will they basically be that playoff contender? I don't think so. I think they'll need about at least a year, but that's just up to me. Chuck, do you think they'll be a playoff contender instantly or no?
No, no, I don't. I think this is the year the Mike Tomlin streak comes to an end of being 500 or better. But they did make some improvements. You know, they already had a great defense, but they went out and got Miles Jack. Um, you know, you mentioned Kenny Pickett. He still got to win the job. They signed Mitch Trubisky. I like Trubisky. He's an okay guy. He's not great by any stretch of the imagination. But they did lose Juju to the Chiefs. Joe Hayden's no longer there. He was getting up in age, so that might be why they got rid of him. But they also I like the draft pick George Pickens from Georgia. He's a really good deep threat. Whatever quarterback starts, they're gonna enjoy having him on the field. Somebody that can stretch the field, go deep on any play. Can really open up the field for that running game with Najee Harris. But like I said, Mike Tomlin, I think this is gonna be the year that he falls under 500 for the first time. And the biggest question mark is their quarterback. The most important position in any sport is the starting quarterback. And I could see Trubisky starting and eventually Kenny Pickett taking over the reins, probably towards the middle of the season or sooner. But I say around the middle of the season. But right now, I got Pittsburgh at winning 8 games.
I think the same thing. I think it'll be 8 nice season. I think Trubisky will probably start a few games as well. This is by far probably other than Buffalo the best situation Mitchell Trubisky has been in his professional career because you actually, like I said, other than Buffalo, you actually have a great coach that's around you. You have great weapons that you could be around and everything. This is like a true learning experience for the individual. And I personally think if he were to potentially go elsewhere, he could potentially vie and be a heck of a starter going elsewhere now. I think this is like almost like a great rookie experience for the guy for the first time in his career. Because let's face it, when he went to Chicago under Matt Nagy, that dude was getting butchered like in every way possible. And you mentioned George Pickens, the wide receiver from Georgia. I was really hoping that the Browns would have drafted him in the second round, but unfortunately we didn't get him. We traded down and we ended up getting Martin Emerson from Mississippi State, which so far from what I've heard has not been a bad pickup. But yeah, I was really hoping George Pickens so far has really done well for them in training camp. So far as Pickett goes, yeah, it looks as though he's definitely going to be on the bench and Trubisky's going to start. But I have to agree with you. I think this will be the first season that Tomlin finishes under 500, but that's okay. I think this is going to be a great learning experience for everybody for that team. And I think it's just only going to make that team even better, more hungrier, and just going to motivate it even better for the following season where they'll probably just take everything back. Now, where to go from this one? Because might as well get it out the way now. Might as well get it out the way now because this is where it gets difficult. On to the next team, which is the Cleveland Browns. Gee, I wonder how that team had off season went. Do you know?
No clue, man.
Yeah,
It's been quiet in Berea.
yeah, it's been very quiet. Yeah, nothing's happened with that team at all. Nothing. Anyways, so some crazy off seasons happened. It all basically started the moment week 2 happened when dude decided to try to make a tackle and he tore his shoulder off the freaking bone and tore his leg. So that happened. Baker basically just went downhill since then. And then it's just been a back and forth affair about playing, which he shouldn't have played, and then it just went downhill since then. So it's all season began. All season began. The team went one mode and one mode only, finding a QB. And we went every which way direction to find one. And it actually came out that we actually tried to go after Russell Wilson, and he turned us down. Yep. So what did the Browns decided to do to actually upgrade themselves at quarterback? To get after Deshaun Watson. They won somehow, some way. They won the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. If you want to actually call it a damn sweepstakes, because considering everything that's going on now, did anybody win that? No. Deshaun Watson ended up signing a 5-year, $230 million contract extension with the team. All of it is fully guaranteed money. But the thing that remains now was the lingering suspension count, in which, as of now, he has 6 games. But due to the fact that the NFL wants to play Karen mode on it, they basically appealed it. So now it remains up in the air. But I will say this right now. If he was to potentially play and go 6 games as it is, not speaking Homer here, this team has a potential to probably be, I will say, third best team in the AFC. Yes, I said that. I am not joking. That is not a Homer pick. That is realistic. Because if you really look at everything that team is built off of, let's see here. Jack Conklin, all pro right tackle, is healthy for the first time since 2020. He is fully healthy once again. You have by far one of the best. You had arguably the best running game in football with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Also landing in the wings is the Ernest Johnson, who came on at some points last year and really played his heart out. Yes, we did lose the tandem of Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, but we did pick up a very, very solid assassin at wide receiver in Amari Cooper, and a guy who nobody talks about enough, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who showed signs of being brilliant. I just felt a better quarterback play, he really would have showed his tail off. On the defensive side of the ball, oh, by the way, our offensive line is one of the best in football. The only issue was the fact that injuries got caught to the best of them. Injuries caught that team last year. Defensive side of the ball, you have one of the best pass rushers in the league in Myles Garrett. And on the opposite side of him is Jadeveon Clowney, who has proven time and time again one of the best edge setters as himself. Secondary wise has turned into one of the best now there is. You got one of the best corner combos in the league with Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward, who signed a 5-year, $100.5 million contract extension. You don't get that kind of money and not prove it. Who, by the way, was one of the only few people in the league to actually shut down Jamar Chase last year. Not a lot of people would actually do that. So, having said all of that, with Jamar Chase, with Deshaun Watson, if by any chance 6 games were to stand, could the Browns overtake the Bengals for the AFC crown? And you said Baltimore. Could the Browns overtake both Baltimore and Cincinnati for the AFC crown if Deshaun Watson's 6 games was to hold up?
The way the team is presently constructed, if Deshaun Watson is only suspended 6 games, yes, I would say the Browns can win the division. You know that, but the way it's looking, that's a long shot. I personally think it's gonna be at least 12 games at the low end. I think Watson to be lucky if it's only 12 games. But the Browns, they got talent all around. Like you said, picking up Amari Cooper. Um, I like to pick up a Jacoby Brissett. I think he an adequate backup. I don't want to see him play all year, but filling in, I think he's he can do well, well enough to not lose us any game, especially with that run game we got. I think the Browns, we also had a great draft, with Martin Emerson. I'm hearing that he might win a starting job in that secondary. Don't forget about Perion Winfrey. He had the most legendary comments. Hopefully he can play adequate at the tackle. David Bell, I know he got a little banged up a little bit, in preseason, well, practice or whatever. And it looks like we finally got a good kicker, somebody who can make kicks consistently. And K York from LSU, the Browns, they have a lot of talent, but I still say, even with Watson, they thin that receiver. Like that's the biggest concern to me is their receivers. Like Amari Cooper is proven. We got him for a steal for a 5th-round pick from Dallas. I know they kicking themselves, especially after seeing Baltimore get a 1st-round pick from freaking Arizona for Hollywood, like we talked about earlier. But I just think the Browns, I think they thin that receiver, and I think that can ultimately be a problem. That teams are probably going, stack the box and try to contain that run game. Well, like we said, it depends on Watson. But right now, in my mind, I'm thinking Watson is going to be out at least 12 games. Hopefully not the entire season. But if he out 12 games, I can see the Browns winning 6, maybe 7 games.
If it's like a 12-game suspension or whole season, I could definitely see 6-7 games wins for the Browns this year, which will be an absolute disaster for them. I like Jacoby Brissett. I think he is a very solid backup QB, but Jacoby Brissett is not the guy that you need to deliver you wins. He's just a guy that's just there to hold the fort down for you. But that's just it. He's not the guy that's going to carry you to wins and stuff like that. Somebody like that is like Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the Browns is in position to make that move for Garoppolo.
Man, but Jimmy G looking better and better every day over there, man.
Yeah, so they say. So they say.
He don't have a job, and we got a court. Our quarterback is in limbo.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But you mentioned the thing about wide receivers. I think the situation with wide receiver really is basically was to play a of Baker last year. I think Baker did nobody favors, honestly, because you take your point, Odell. When he was here, Odell did not look like the man he once was. When Odell was in New York, he was just Odell was a dominating figure on that field. When he was here, he was half the man he once was, and that had a lot to do with Baker. It's like Baker was just a stubborn individual that felt like he did what he wanted to do on that field. And once he went to LA, Odell was himself once again. That's no accident. That's just quarterback play. I think with Watson being here, he is going to be able to elevate wide receivers in their plays to better ability. Having Amari Cooper is going to make Amari Cooper always had the luxury of playing with well respected QBs, from Derek Carr to Dak Prescott, and hopefully all goes well, Deshaun Watson. I think, and I'm telling people this, I put this on everything. People are sleeping on Donovan Peoples-Jones. That guy is a talented dude. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a talented individual. He has the body built for it. He has the body built for a wide receiver. He is fast. He is strong. He is a good route runner. I just think when the opportunity presents itself, he is going to really show it. I just believe that. David Bell is basically Jarvis Landry, just younger and faster, and doesn't drop passes at all. And the unfortunate thing for him is he got hurt, which I hope he gets better real soon. But this whole thing with Deshaun Watson really put a monkey wrench into everything. And the only thing that the Browns could really hope for is, like, somehow, some way, 6 games can stay. Maybe a fine get put on, but 6 games can stay, and this whole thing is in. It just ends. Speaking of end, how about a tragic end for Cincinnati last year? But I don't think they could care less about that, because the magical ride that Cincinnati had last season was absolutely amazing. Like, you go from basically from the dead end of your season last year to a Super Bowl and winning your division. But that's the beauty of two things: the beauty of a quarterback and the beauty of a kicker. That's why the Browns went and got in the 4th round and drafted Cade York, because Evan McPherson was one of the main reasons why that team went to the Super Bowl. That dude is something special. But one of the biggest weaknesses that Cincinnati had last year was their offensive line. And what did they do? Damn it, they got it better. You signed Leo Collins, you signed the former center that was from Tampa Bay. Like, you went out there and you bettered your offensive line. Like, that was important. So now, going into this season, Joe Mixon, who is probably the most underrated football player in football, period, is going to get even better now. The wide receiver core is going to get even better now, because Joe Burrow, for the first time in his NFL career, is actually going to potentially have protection now. Their defense potentially could get better, because Eli Apple may not have to get burned anymore, because them drafted Daxton Hill, the defensive back from Michigan, may be his replacement. But Chuck, does Cincinnati have a chance to repeat? You said Baltimore is going to take the division. You sure about that? You think Cincinnati's not going to take them?
Well, the thing with Cincinnati, like, they got hot at the right time. They had a lot of stuff clicking for them. Had a magical ride to the Super Bowl. But let's not forget, they only won 10 games last year. It's not like they, came out and just beat the heck out of everybody in the division. They only won 10 games. Now, they did make some improvements, like you said, getting Lyle Collins from the Cowboys, and that's a big pickup. They got the guard, I think, from New England, I believe.
Joe,
Where's he from?
if I recall, I think they got the guard from. They got somebody from Tampa Bay. I remember that.
Yeah, Alex, yeah, Kappa, I believe.
Yeah, Kappa.
But yeah, I like Cincinnati. They got every reason in the world. All Cincinnati fans got every reason in the world to be optimistic. You got Joe Burrow, one of the brightest stars in the league, Jamar Chase, really good running game. Like I said, they improved that line tenfold. So he should definitely have more time. But let's not forget about arguably the best safety in the league. Pro Football Focus got him actually ranked as the fourth best defender in the league, in Jesse Bates.
How was he
Like,
not paid? How
like
was he not paid?
what are they going to do with him? I mean, I know they made some drafts, and like you said, they got Daxton Hill from Michigan and Cam Taylor Britt from Nebraska. I'm guessing they thinking that these guys gonna fill in, but Jesse Bates is a dog, man, and somebody gonna take him because obviously they don't want to invest that money. They might be thinking about all the money they're gonna have to give to Burrow in a few years. They're gonna have to give him something crazy. But I like Cincinnati, but right now I got them winning 11 games. I got Baltimore winning 12. So I think the division gonna stack out. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. Well, yeah, Cleveland. It depends on what Jackson. I mean, what happens with Watson? But if Deshaun Watson, if he suspended 12 games or more, I actually got Pittsburgh finishing ahead of them.
I I if Deshaun Watson is 6 games still, I believe that's enough for Cleveland to win that division. I will have them go. I believe personally that Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh is going to be the fallout. But if it's more than that, I think it's going to be Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. I think Deshaun Watson is that much of a difference maker on that team because we clearly see last year quarterback play made a major difference with the Browns last year, and I think it's going to make the same amount of difference this year. And I think Cincinnati just that the fact that you bettered your offensive line just makes everything so much different now. Like getting Lyle Collins, getting the guard from Tampa Bay just makes everything so much better for them. My only concern for them is they need to stop playing around and you need to pay Jesse Bates because the last thing you need to do is lose that guy to free agency because time has proven playing cheap to one of the best in the league is going to burn you badly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Jesse Bates, he a bad man. Even though I don't think Cincinnati gonna win the division. I could definitely see them sneaking in the playoffs. Via wild card because it's a lot of good teams. You know, don't want to jump too far ahead, but like the AFC West, them teams they gonna beat up on each other. So not all of them teams gonna win 10 plus games. So I think 11 games would definitely give Cincinnati a shot of getting in there. Who knows? They might capture that magic once again and ride that wave to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the NFC West, that's who we get it. That's that will conclude our AFC predictions next time on this. But before we go, Chuck, you got an announcement, don't you?
Oh yeah. We wanna let all of our dedicated listeners know you can continue watching us on Facebook. We try to bring you the hottest topics, try to bring you in-depth info, not a lot of hot takes, but actually, good information you can use and impress your friends with. Um, but not only that, we are now on Spotify. You can check us out on Spotify daily podcast, usually dropping around 2 p.m. Central. or wherever else you get your podcast at. But yeah, definitely check us out. Subscribe. Like I said, continue watching on YouTube. You can subscribe here, share the videos. Just let people know. Let them know where the number one sports podcast is at. We really appreciate you all for checking us out and riding with us. And we ain't gonna do nothing but continue to rise, continue to get better, baby.
It's only gonna get better from here. The sun's only gonna go up. Only gonna go up from here. And with that said, until then, this is the Ruck. That's Chuck. I'll be the Zen. Later.